Hello everybody, welcome to my new channel, and the reason why I say that is because I have another channel here on YouTube. To introduce myself, my name is Chantel. The old channel was a reaction channel. I did reaction videos with my sisters and some friends, and we reacted to boy bands, girl groups, K-pop, mainly One Direction and BTS. So I invite you to check it out if you haven't already. But if you are my subscriber from the other channel, I really appreciate the support that you are giving me on my new channel. The reason why I wanted to start a new channel is because I just wanted to separate the reaction videos from kind of like lifestyle travel videos, and I just wanted to create a different niche for each channel. If you are new, hopefully you decide to subscribe to either one of my channels. I'm gonna give you a little bit of information about myself. I am 26 years old. I am ethnically Filipino, but I was born and raised in Canada, so I am a Canadian. I am currently living in Seoul, South Korea as an English teacher for elementary, and I went to post-secondary for radio and television broadcasting, and I also have a degree in professional communications. On my other channel, I do include a podcast. Oh, I do have a podcast. On there, I kind of talk about life lessons, things that are related to travel that I feel like are more of longer conversations. Some of the stuff I'll talk about today is going to be about the stuff that I've already talked about on there, so check it out if you haven't already. So this video, I'm going to be talking about how I moved to South Korea and how I became a teacher, because you guys are probably wondering, teaching is mostly related to education. Your background is not really in that, but I'll get into it. So this is going to be very long. I am gonna cut it into 3 parts. So the first one, I'll be talking about what inspired me to come to Korea, how I found English jobs and kind of the beginning process of it. The second video, I'll be talking about the actual process of like the paperwork, what I needed to come here, what things I think are important to know. And then the third one is going to be talking about the actual physical process of me getting from Canada to South Korea regarding COVID, immigration, and all that stuff. So grab a pen and paper if you are watching this because you're trying to get information about how to go abroad. I also just want to quickly shout out all of the people who sent me a message. A lot of you guys were subscribers of my other channel. A lot of you guys were either One Direction or BTS fans, and yeah, thank you for your messages. And then also thank you to everybody in my life, so my friends and family who are interested in my life here, who are curious and want to know how I did it. And hopefully it'll inspire you to do the same, and hopefully, I do know that actually there are people in my life who do want to come to Korea or who want to go to some other Asian countries, and I'm here to give you all the information. As you can tell, I am in my apartment. I already live here in Seoul. It's been about a week that I've been here fully in this apartment. So excuse the mess in the background, I'm so sorry, but I really wanted to give this information to a lot of you guys who have been asking for a while. It's just taken me a lot of time to settle, so I apologize. I actually already filmed this video when I was in my hotel when I first arrived. However, I wanted to redo it because when I was looking back at the footage, I realized I did leave out some things, but also me being here for 2 weeks now, I learned a lot in those 2 weeks from the other foreign teachers that I have at my school. And by the way, I love them. They're so nice and accommodating and welcoming and so helpful. So if any of the teachers see this, hi guys. I didn't tell you guys that I do YouTube because I don't really start off meeting people telling them that I do YouTube. I do want to preface this and say that every situation is different, every country is different. This is specifically my experience with going to Korea. Get comfortable, grab yourself a drink. I am drinking a matcha, an iced matcha right now. I'm so lucky there's a cafe like literally across the street from me. The number one thing that you need to know about this is this was a very long process. Me living here is almost 2 years in the making. from like the moment of like the idea that I want to go abroad to me actually being here. But the process of me trying to come here has been about a year. The number one thing that people ask me is like, what made you want to become a teacher? Why are you in Korea? When I was in university, of course, I have to think about what type of jobs I want to do post-university, and honestly I was kind of lost because with communication and broadcasting, it's such a broad spectrum. There's like so many different fields that you can go into. Like you can go into government, you can go into schools, you can go into broadcasting like news and radio. And for those of you who are kind of confused about communications is very, very similar to like public relations. So one of the classes I really liked when I was in university was intercultural communications, and I was like, maybe I'd be interested in doing something in cultural communications. So a lot of that is very related to like immigration and government, things like foreign affairs. But then I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to work in government. So what is crazy is I always wanted to study abroad, and I ended up studying abroad here in Seoul. I knew nothing about Korea and the Korean culture before I came. I actually had a friend named Carter, shout out Carter if you ever watch this. He recommended Korea to me because we have very similar personalities. Initially, I really wanted to go to Japan for my semester abroad, but I went to Korea, and Korea absolutely blew my mind. I fell in love. Of course, there's negative things about every country, and you know, that's the reality of things, but I really liked Korea, and I felt like I didn't really explore as much as I could because it was my first time abroad, and I was still very like shy and scared to leave my room because of the language barrier. I do also have another video on my other channel about language barrier. You know what's funny? I think I'm wearing the exact same shirt. Sailor Moon, fighting evil by what is it? Moonlight, and in love by daylight. Well, I don't know if that's the right lyrics. Anyways, okay. So yeah, I was like, I always wanted to come back to Korea, I just didn't know when. So I graduated from university in June. Technically, actually, my graduation date I think was like July of 2020. And that was when the pandemic hit and we went on a full-blown shutdown. Everybody knows the world was put to a stop, and I lost my job. And that's why I started my reaction channel. But before I graduated, I was looking at options of, you know, jobs in general. I didn't know the pandemic was gonna get as crazy as it did. And so of course I'm planning for my future. I'm graduating from university. I started to work ahead, and I was like, if I do like this intercultural communications class, if I loved my experience of studying abroad, maybe I should seek for opportunities abroad. And so I think it was right after I came back from Korea. So I came back from Korea in the end of 2019, because I was there for my semester in 2019. And so my last semester of university, January to June of 2020, that's when I was thinking and trying to apply for jobs, looking into it. And because I went abroad, the really great thing about universities, especially if you go abroad, is the international becomes very involved with you as a student, but also you as an alumni. During my last semester, I seriously just sent them an email and I said, hey, I really liked my experience studying abroad in Korea. I'm looking to do more opportunities abroad, maybe a career or like a short-term job. What type of things do you recommend to alumni? Because I was gonna be an alumni very soon. And they showed me the JET program, which is the Japan Exchange and Teaching, I think that's what it's called, program. And I was like, wow, Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan. I never thought of living in Japan. So I was like, let's check it out. And so I checked it out. I applied, but there was a lot of problems that happened because of the pandemic, and so I had to let that opportunity go. And then I was thinking to myself, should I wait another full year to reapply again, or should I look at my other options? I reached out again to the international office, and they said, yeah, there's a lot of other English teaching programs out in the world. They introduced to me the Auxiliares de Conversación, which is in Spain, and also the EPIK program, which is literally the English program in Korea. And so I was like, oh, I never thought of going back to Korea so soon. but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to because of the pandemic. So I had options, you know. Japan, I could still do it technically. I would just have to wait a little bit longer for the new application process. I could go to Spain, but I found out that it's better to know Spanish because you have to fill out forms in Spanish. I took Spanish in high school, but like, I don't know if I knew enough Spanish to fill out forms. But then I found out from a friend that you didn't really need to know Spanish that well. And, you know, just having friends and people who know Spanish could help you out. So maybe that's in the future, who knows? That's basically how it happened. I just reached out to the international office because I wanted to do something internationally. So just timeline wise, it was about around April that I started to look at Spain and Korea. Okay, so to specifically talk about Korea now, I know that was really long, but there's like a lot of information that you guys had to know. I did a lot of research on my own. So after I got the information from the international office, I literally just looked at all of the programs that were available in all of these countries. And when I settled on Korea, I looked at the EPIK program. The EPIK program it's like a partnership that the government has, like the Canadian government with the Korean government, and you will see a lot of partnerships in terms of either student exchange or working abroad within countries. And Canada, I think, has the best relationship with a lot of different countries. If you are looking to go abroad, but not particularly Korea, I would go ahead and look at the government websites and see what countries Canada has partnerships with. But when I looked at the EPIK program, I also knew that there were other options because when I say research, I mean, I literally watched so many YouTube videos from teachers who are actually here in Korea. And they're either from North America, like the States and Canada, or they're from other countries. Another thing is I messaged the people who made these videos. So I sent them emails, I DM'd them. However, even though every situation in every country and getting here to Korea is very different, they kind of have a very similar experience and process of getting to Korea. I also went on Reddit forums, I went on Quora forums, and I also looked at just random forums that are not even written in English and are not even like written by North American teachers. And some of those things was honestly just like reviews on schools. And so with the EPIK program, I found, I'm just gonna pull out my trusty notebook because this is crazy. This is the notebook that I had all of my YouTube stuff and all of like life plans kind of, and I have it in Korea. This is funny. Okay, I found that there was 2 ways to come to Korea. The EPIK program, and there's also a way to come to Korea through teaching at a Hagwon. And a Hagwon is like a private school. It is like academies, and I literally have Hagwon route and EPIK route here on my notebook. What I did was I wrote down everything that the EPIK program consists of, and then I wrote down everything that the Hagwon route consisted of. And I gathered information from all of these videos, all of these forums, to tell you a little bit of the differences. I'm not going to tell you all of it because I do believe that you should, again, do your own research. So basically, with the EPIK program, you only work 22 hours a week, and that means in-class hours. Normally, schools go from 8 to 4, or sometimes like 9 to 5, and working 22 hours a week doesn't mean that you can leave. So with the EPIK program, you are still in school that entire school day, so from 8 to 4, and you only are teaching in class for 22 hours. The other times where you don't have classes, you're literally sitting around kind of doing nothing. However, if you have any other source of income or any, like for example, I do YouTube or I do freelance work. If I went into the EPIK program, that's kind of what I would be doing in my spare time, whether it's, you know, editing YouTube videos, doing my freelance work, or honestly, like learning Korean. But it depends on the school that you work at, and like if the EPIK program allows you to do other work in that time. In the EPIK program, you are likely, very more than likely, to be teaching in the boonies. And if you don't know what the boonies is, It's basically the countryside, rural areas. There are opportunities to be placed in a city, but I heard that's actually very, like, you'd be really lucky if you got that option, because when you apply for the program, you put, I think, 3 locations or cities that you would like to be placed at, and then they try to do their best to place you in those cities, but it's never guaranteed, right? You do get holidays and weekends off. To do the application, you have to have an essay, and you also have to have reference letters from employers and or professors. The thing about the EPIK program is it works very, very closely with the government, so it's very organized. And by organized, I mean when you do the application process, you can join a Facebook group where other applicants talk about like things about their application. They have questions about Korea in general. They're the ones that book your flight. When you get to Korea, you actually go to an orientation. I'm pretty sure they usually do it at a university, so they take care of your accommodations and your orientation when you first arrive in Korea. They also take care of organizing flights and stuff for you to be sent to your designated flights or bus or train to be sent to your designated school. So that would be if you are out of Seoul and or if you're in the boonies, in the rural countryside. That's what I mean by it's very organized. Another thing is you don't pay rent. You just have to pay your like electricity bills. And with the EPIK program, you would be only a teaching assistant. So likely, I've heard that there's, again, different experiences for different people. I heard that there's some schools that let you be the full-on teacher, but for majority of the time, you are only a teacher's assistant. So there is a main Korean teacher in the classroom, but you do have a little bit of control with like what you do in the classroom, so like your lesson planning. And it's kind of just, I guess you could say the EPIK program is a lot more safe just because it is, again, associated with the government, so they can't really like screw you over. And one thing as well is you could be possibly living in a main city. Sometimes I've heard some people that their commute is literally an hour to get to school, and sometimes there are teachers who go to 2 to up to 4 different schools in a week. So for me personally, that's not what I wanted. Honestly, all this information is public information. It's out there, like it's on the EPIK program website, and they don't lie. Like that's exactly what you're gonna experience when you come here. So with the Hagwon route, the private academies, private schools, you could choose the location that you wanted to be in. So that was a huge factor as to why I chose to go with Hagwons. I really wanted to be in Seoul. It is a 40-hour work week, so you do work like a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 6. So when you're looking for something with a Hagwon, I would recommend looking for something over 2.2 million. So that is about $2,200 Canadian, and that's a month, and that's without rent. So to continue, you do also still get holidays and weekends off. It's the same thing. You don't pay rent, just your electricity bills and like internet and water. Same thing with the EPIK program. In the Hagwon route, you are a full-on teacher. Like you are full-on lesson planning, you are grading. For both programs, you have to make sure that the curriculum is already made. Like you shouldn't be making the curriculum. However, you can be in charge of or have a little bit of control over lesson planning. So with EPIK, you have a little bit less control, and with the Hagwon route, you have full control of your lesson plan. You do have to follow specific books and activities, but how you teach is up to you. And also you are full on grading, and you do kind of like extra work. So I'm not entirely sure if you do it for the EPIK program. I should probably ask my friend, but for example, we do like evaluations every couple months. We do weekly comments, and you are working the entire time. Now, with EPIK and with Hagwon and coming to Korea, basically, you kind of just have to decide what is important to you. So I would recommend that you look at the Hagwon route and you look at the EPIK route like I did, and you make a list of the differences and look at them. And then what I did was, so for EPIK, I did a pro and con, and for the Hagwon route, I did a pro and con as well. And I kind of weighed out them I weighed out each one and decided, again, what were important things to me. And then once I decided to go with a Hagwon, I was like, okay, how do I find a job? And so I went on a website called Dave's ESL Cafe, and it is a website that a former teacher, I think he was from the UK, I'm not 100% sure, he could have been from North America. Anyways, he made this website, which is basically a site where people can go and they have a bunch of job listings for Korea, Japan, and in China. And on the job listings, you can find job listings specifically from the Hagwon, so specifically from the school itself, or you can find kind of like advertisements from recruiting companies. And so you'll learn that I went with a recruiting company, and basically they just are people who seek out teachers for schools that are looking. And I learned that a lot of the people who teach at Hagwons, that is the website that they used to come here, Dave's ESL Cafe. One of the things that helped me to apply for these jobs is actually to have a TEFL, and a TEFL is a Teaching English as a Foreign Language certificate, and you do need that, I think, for both the Hagwon route and the EPIK route. However, there's some schools, like for example, my school didn't ask to see the certificate. They just asked me if I was doing the TEFL, and I said yes. And same even with the recruiter who helped me. She just asked me if I was doing the TEFL. I don't think it's mandatory. However, it is very, very helpful to know all of those things. So the TEFL program is a crash course on how to be a teacher, how to do lesson planning, how to deal with your students in the classroom. It's a certificate. You can find it online, and I'll put the website that I used, but each school or the EPIK program, they actually, your TEFL certificate has to be from a website that has a stamp. The stamp on that website is kind of like approval, like do these countries or do these schools approve of the TEFL program that you did. The TEFL program was supposed to take about 6 months, but I did it in 3 months. You work at your own pace. Like I said, to go back to the timeline thing, I looked at everything with the EPIK program and with Hagwon routes starting in April, and then I made a decision that I wanted to go with a Hagwon in May, and then from May to like July I was just applying for a bunch of jobs. I could have come to Korea in September, but it didn't work out for me because there's a lot of things that you're gonna run into sometimes that you're just not prepared for. So I ended up pushing my start date to all the way the next year. I could have also come in March, but that didn't work out. So I came here in August for the September semester of 2022. And so that's kind of all I have to say for the first video. To give you kind of my own opinion, so my hours are 10 to 6. It's the same amount of hours, if that makes sense. However, I'm teaching the entire time. I have a 1 hour lunch break, and I think it's the same for EPIK, and lunch is provided, which is great. But it's up to you if you want to eat it or not. I think for my school, you have to pay by month, and then you eat for that entire month, and then you can stop at any time and you can start it again anytime. When I say a little bit more free time with EPIK, I mean you have less teaching hours. You are still very, very busy. For those of you guys who know teaching or who kind of just already know this, teaching is a lot of work. It doesn't just stop in the classroom. Like, I'll be honest with you, I am quite tired after work. However, I still leave room for fun, and then I do still leave room for rest. But a lot of the times during the weekdays, I am still preparing for the next day or preparing for next week or doing things and finding things for my students for them to get better. If you're not ready for that, I don't think that you should come here, because my main goal here is to be a good teacher, and you have to care. I think you have to care if you want to come teach at a different country. And yes, you will get burnt out, you will be very tired, you will get to a point where you're you don't even care, but it's really a mindset. You have to always think about your student. And yeah, also, I'm not gonna lie to you, the reason why I didn't choose the EPIK program was because it was really hard for me to get reference letters in time for the application deadline. And also, I was too lazy to write an essay. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I did not want to do the essay portion for the EPIK program. I do think the EPIK program does give you enough time to kind of like learn other things. For some of us foreign teachers here who want to take Korean lessons, we would have to be doing that on the weekend. But I heard with some of the teachers in the EPIK program, they do have time during the weekday because they're not as busy as us. Or sometimes they even try to learn Korean on their own with like online programs, and they do that during the free time. But again, like I said, you are still at school for the entire school day. You're just not teaching all the time. Take that with a grain of salt. I heard though that some of the EPIK teachers, they do have a better gig in terms of they're less tired. That's really funny. And Hagwons are a lot of work. I hope that this video helped you. Please look out for the next videos. And yeah, there's just so much information that you need to know. And I'm gonna be your teacher because I'm already a teacher here. Come be my teacher. You're making me a boy with love. Oh my, my, oh my, you got me high so fast. See you in part 2 and part 3 and part 4 and part 5. I don't know how many parts there's gonna be, but see you guys in the next episode of the Moving to Korea series. Peace. Oh, I was just about to walk away from my camera, but I forgot to say, if you have any more questions after the 3rd video, please let me know. I hope that I kind of answered. A lot of you guys kind of just asked like, what are the hours like? How much do you get paid? Like what do they pay for and stuff. So yes, you will see a bunch of that information in the next 3 videos, but if you have more questions, then let me know after that, okay? Please watch the videos before you ask questions. Okay, bye.